we go.
Alrighty, ladies and gents, welcome to the deep end. We got Hollywood Matt Connolly, Ryan Blue.
The double biceps.
Whoa,
There it is.
I'm getting used to this at the camera. I keep leaning the wrong way. This is that's my left arm. My left arm is not worthy of a flex.
Still crushes me everywhere.
What's going on, man? Man, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I got a slight cold today, which is going to help for the deep monotone sound of the deep end. But I'm well.
Right.
I'm well.
You go on. I've got to try to match you now. I got to get real deep.
yeah, for sure. Good to see everyone starting to come in. Aaron Castillo, good day to you too. So thank you for joining us here on the deep end, episode 3, mate. Episode 3. Yeah. I'm excited. It's early days on the deep end, but I like where it's headed. I like where it's going. Lots to talk about this weekend. Big weekend in arm wrestling. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to warn you all. We like to take it slow on the deep end and just analyze things properly, but we've only got a 45-minute show roughly for you today. So I do apologize if we have to cut this one short, but we have, Matt, had a big weekend in arm wrestling. Of course, we had a whole bunch of pay-per-views. We had the Arm Wars release, their first episode. We had Arizona State. We had Louisiana State. We had Todd Hutchins up there in Canada taking on multiple arm wrestlers. It was good. It was good, but it all started. It all started with Arm Wars, with the Iron House release. Jordan Davis, Bogdan Stoica kicking it off.
That was great.
What did you think of that massive opener?
That was fantastic. I was amazed. Like, seriously, the production level that Neil Pickup has gone to with that show was next level. That was fantastic. They did that so well. I loved the thoughts in between rounds of each puller and how they were approaching each round. The view, the lighting, the setting. It was like you couldn't have done it better. It was fantastic.
Yeah. It was very impressive. What I liked about it in the production value sense was I loved that it made it feel to me like it was almost like a Netflix show where I'm really invested in the season of it now. I want to know what else is happening later on down the track, and I, to be honest, I must admit I was surprised at how often my name was said in that episode.
Did your name come up during that show? Oh, I don't know.
I was genuinely surprised. As I'm watching you do the premiere, and I'm sitting there and chatting away with people, and I'm just laughing at how much times it came up.
It shows that you're doing the right things and people talking about you. But yeah, I think it was great. It was funny. It was like a little funny moment, But next level production. The result of the actual match. The only thing I would have done a little bit differently production wise, and this is probably screwing with the result of the match. I would have put it up. I would have made it 5-0 for Bogdan, and then I would have put in those moments with Jordan talking about, he was doing it for his country and that he'd flown across the world to get that win. I know that's not how the match went, but I would have messed around with it to present it in that way.
Hey, that's one of the questions here that I'd like to dive deep into. With the Arm Wars brand, it is trying something very new, and the main difference that Arm Wars is bringing out is they are avoiding the result being released in any way, shape, or form. It was a couple of months ago that this actually took place, and what did you think of that respect? Like I remember when Jordan traveled over there. We were all incredibly excited to know what had happened, and we all had to just sit there and kind of try to convince ourselves to forget that it actually happened. Yeah. But then when it came out, how did you consume that as a viewer? Did you enjoy it? Did it feel like it was happening right then? Did it matter? Where did you sit at with that?
I think it was amazing that they actually kept it a secret for that long, especially in this day and age with that many people involved, that they were able to keep it a secret. It's just incredible to me. Even when you've got, people that have signed like $5 million conflict of interest, or declarations to say they won't give out information and stuff like that, and they still release stuff. So so it was great to see that it did stay under wraps, and obviously the people that were involved really respected that. It was fantastic that Jordan got that exposure, even though it was a loss. It was still, his personality and his thoughts really came across well. Same with Bogdan. I mean, he's playing the villain, and he's doing a really good job of it. I think everyone that I know who watched it hates him. But that's good. That's a good thing, because he can command an audience with that, where people go, oh, there's that guy, I hate that guy, I want to see him lose, and then they're interested and invested in watching the outcome of the match.
It's funny how you can how that can happen. Like I think Bogdan is a really nice guy in the reality of it, but just the way the match came about, I guess, in terms of the pressure of the trash talk and whatnot, and he knew that, like you said in the show, he said, if he loses this match, Ryan Bowen will not stop talking about it. So I think that he used that as like this in his head. He's like, no, screw this, I'm coming out hard at it, and now he's got this villain. I wonder if Bogdan actually intended on being seen as a villain, but he certainly is now.
Yeah, they did a great job of painting him in that way. And then so when he gets his next appearance, they're going to have all that footage and all those moments to draw on that gets an emotional reaction from the audience. And it's like, oh, here's that guy. Remember that guy that you hated? Yeah, here he is. He's going to be having a match. It's like, oh, I hope he loses. So that is a very clever thing to do. And I'm sure that Neil probably identified that was happening, and he's like, well, these are moments I can use to build this character.
Absolutely. Hey, Arm Science comes in with a comment saying, amazing Arm Wars, I can't wait for the next one. And absolutely, Arm Science, I agree totally. And that was one of the things I liked most about the production, that it did draw me in such a way that I'm really looking forward to the next one. Personally, as an arm wrestler, it drew me in so much. I've never wanted a match more than Bogdan Koka now. It's like, I've never felt more. I literally was like, yes, sign me up, Neil, I'll be there. Like, there's no hesitations.
Absolutely.
I'm excited personally that I get to be a part of that next chapter in that particular storyline of Bogdan after what he did there. Ben Young asked an interesting question. Ben Young asked, what do you think about the F. Bowen comment from Davis? Was it an insult to you? Look, watching it live, it made me laugh more than anything. The emotion, one thing that I could see in Jordan was the emotion was very real for him in that event. I think he was carrying a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he didn't want to let anyone down. He didn't want to let Australia down. Trust me, there's no shortage of believers in Jordan Davis in Australia when we know how hard he works and how talented he is. And I think that when he sensed that he was just out of the match and there was nothing he could do, I think the emotions obviously hit home pretty hard in him. And so I know what Jordan's path has been. I know exactly the path he's taken to become the arm wrestler he is. I've been part of that journey for him. So when he said that the struggles and the trials and the difficult times he's been through, I know it, like, exactly. I know what he's been through. So I could understand where that emotion was. And in the context of that emotion, it didn't upset me at all when he said, because people were, I think it was Ray who called it out, saying, do it for Bowen. And at that point in time, again, knowing the emotion that Jordan was carrying there, the last thing he wants to do it is for me personally. So no, I wasn't offended at all. Look, you could take it as that was a bit of a kick in the face, but no, not at all. I didn't take it that way. I think that Jordan's a good dude, and like I said, I could see and feel the emotions that he was carrying in that event, and I respect it completely. So I was not offended at all. What did you think, Matt, of that moment?
I thought it was funny. I thought it was great. I mean, everyone knows you, everyone in the industry, and those guys in that room respect you. And it was a joke. It was a good lighthearted moment in a moment when Jordan was really facing down the barrel of a 6-0 moment, and as you said, the emotions were high, and then somebody says something like "Good door for Bowen," which is obviously a joke, and he's going "Fuck Bowen," because it's like. It's just the classic response, and it really lightened the mood. And it was, again, a very clever decision that they made production-wise to have that moment. And, for the people who aren't sort of cluey on how stories are told and how production in post, where you have all this footage and all these moments and you present it in all these different ways. But the way they chose to go with it was very clever. They created a hero, they created a villain, they created some funny moments like that. Whereas in reality, they could have just put up the match, and it could have just been, here's the match, it's 5-1, and you're like, oh yeah, well, that wasn't as interesting. But when you've got story, when you've got characters, when you've got those sort of moments, that's what makes a difference.
Yeah, I agree, and it was that story and those moments that drew me in as a both as a viewer and as an athlete now with a desire to go and compete against Bogdan. It was that story that did it. Like if it was just a match, I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, Bogdan belted Jordan. Okay, fair enough. But with that story, I'm like, let me at Bogdan. I need to go and put Bogdan in his place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it did everything that it's designed to do, and I think that Neil knows that, and he did it well. I could see the little smile on Neil's face when I went, because Neil invited me to a live straight away afterwards, and I could see the little smile on Neil's face as I'm just teeing off with like, let me out Bogdan, and he's like, oh, you got Ryan perfectly.
But he was sitting back rubbing his hands like, I can't wait till Ryan sees this shit.
Ben Young, thanks for the follow-up. He says amazing attitude. Nothing can get to Bowen. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's all part of the story. Building the story is a fantastic journey, and it's very enjoyable for me as an athlete to be part of any organization that builds story. I think that story, as Matt has said, story is the most powerful tool we have for growing the sport and the interest of the sport among the fans and the wider community. So storyline, I love it. Anything with story, I'm all over. Yeah, good to see a few other people just coming in to the chat. Thank you for guys joining us in here. Blue Monstrosity, how you doing, brother? Good to see one of my haters there. Someone is always at me. Look at that. I'll highlight your comments, man. It's all right. Good to see you.
Ryan, do you think that you're seen as a villain character?
It's an interesting one. I don't know. Hey, if it's if you were to plot a chart of where I sit with being hero villain, I think that I've spent more time in villain than I have in hero, for sure. But like how I don't think I'm currently at my most villain, my highest villain rating. I think I have been higher. I'm somewhat trending back down. A few more people are on my side at the moment, but I think I'm still on the villain side of center at the moment. Generally, on the internet.
Do you think it was the highest leading into the Lachlan match?
Oh yeah, big time. Big time. And now when the next matches I've got lined up, like we've got over the top this weekend, which will be there's less animosity towards anyone because it's a tournament. But then my next super match is Engen Terzi, so it's nothing but full of respect. So like you won't see any villain antics coming from me towards Engen in any way, shape, or form. I'll just be absolutely respecting you. I consider Engen kind of second to John when it comes to GOAT status in terms of achievements in the sport. So so I don't know. I'll probably start to trend a little bit more towards the hero side of things, but the delusional side of things is always I think that there's a lot of people that just love so much, and they're waiting for the day for me to crack. They want me to. Every time I fail to achieve something that I say I think I can do, they're jumping up. They're like, "Come on, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one where he loses it, and he just quits and he goes away."
It's funny,
doesn't
isn't it?
happen. Oh, but yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm at, but it's a lot of fun. That's for sure. What are we going to comment here from Pathetic and Lame PAL? Everyone needs to pick on someone, Ryan. The people who know the difference know the difference. Need a villain in every story. Yeah, I agree, man. And look, being the villain is a very successful role for a lot of. I mean, you need them, as you said, and there's a lot of heels out there in the world of sport and entertainment that you kind of love the enemy. At the same time, you need that. You need to have someone that you can't stand, don't you?
Exactly. It's like Conor McGregor in the UFC. You love him or hate him, and it wouldn't be the same impact if he didn't have that polarizing figure. The amount of people that absolutely hate his guts, and then the other people who absolutely love him to death. No one's sort of sitting in the middle. If you had, what's your opinion on McGregor? They're either going to tell you that they hate the guy or they love the guy. But that's the reason. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was someone who loved Conor McGregor early days. I was such a fan. I loved that he could I love that he projected so much forward in his confidence and ability, and he outlined exactly how he was going to achieve things in the years to come. And then he did it exactly as he said, and I thought that was spectacular. And now I think he's a knob. So, but I'll still watch. I'll still watch. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. When you'd paid the money to see him, hoping that he would lose, but that's the whole point, really.
Yeah. So back on the Arm Wars thing, we have one video per week for the next 20 weeks is going to come out from Arm Wars, which that to me is very exciting that you can set for us here in Australia every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. my time, 6 a.m. your time, Matt. There's going to be an Iron House release, which to me is exciting. Like I straight away love that we can reliably know that we have a 20-week season. It's like I feel like it's back in the days when TV shows were when we had to wait a week for each episode. We couldn't binge watch on Netflix. We now get that feel for arm wrestling. We know that every week we're going to have a super high quality production, and I'm super invested in that. In watching it as a fan, I'm really excited. I think next week it's Bogdan against Dallas Langston.
Ooh, all right.
So,
there you go. The villain.
Dallas Langston. Hey, Dallas Langston. Don't think I didn't notice you said that you think Jordan Davis is a better arm wrestler than I am. Just remind you about me kicking your ass, Dallas Langston, in Arizona. Don't forget that, buddy. I'll do it again if I have to.
Did that footage pop up on Facebook this week somewhere?
So we can't probably have today's show without touching this subject in some way, shape, or form. Pathetic and Lame PAL. I mean, he kind of declares his intent in that username there. We kind of get where he's going to be coming from. But he says if top-notch arm wrestling was what viewers wanted to see, Zloty would be on every type of mainstream broadcasting. This weekend, Matt, we've had a bunch of pay-per-views. We had the Arizona State, who deliberately they chose to let incidental elbow fouls fly. They said that before that they didn't have running fouls, but they chose to say incidental running fouls will just be let fly. And they had what I saw of it, a great momentum to the matches. Louisiana was run under the PAL style rigid rules. And we that wasn't a pay-per-view event, so keep in mind that it wasn't. I've heard the organizers say that live stream was a free live stream. It was just showing what's going on. It was more about finding out who is the best arm wrestler in that area. It wasn't meant to be an entertainment-based event. So I'll give them a pass in that respect. But we saw matches in that one. Super matches end without a pin in that one, where it was all chaos. I think this is a rolling debate, a rolling topic that's going to keep going for a while. But probably until we get up to the Devin and Levine match, we're probably going to continuously talk about rules because everyone wants it to be the way that they want it to be for that match. Did you watch either of those pay-per-views, and did you get a feel for either one, and which one did you prefer?
Yeah, I watched the Arizona State, and yeah, you're right with the incidental elbow fouls. That I still would have preferred if they'd just gone straight with running fouls. I think that always just provides such a simpler way to get through a match, because there was a little bit of like, was that an incidental or wasn't it? And there was a few moments where I did see elbow fouls that didn't get called, and then other elbow fouls that looked like they were exactly the same height and they did get called. And it was like, well, where's the consistency? And I think they did a really good job in terms of, that they're trying to create a thing that people, if you're paying to watch this, you want to watch something entertaining. I think they could have just made it a lot easier for themselves by just going, let's just do running fouls and we'll just go with it from there. The worst thing as an audience viewer is watching a match that's really exciting, that is going back and forth, and it might be going 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and the hype and the drama of that match is happening, and then it gets stopped for an elbow foul. And it's just like, you feel this collective like sigh, like everyone's like, no, and whether or not it's a loss or a restart, it's still just changed that special moment of finding a winner of the match. And even if it was running fouls, it still creates that story of, hey, he's on a foul, he has to get this pin to restart. And so you still get a winner of that round. It's not just, I'm just so sick of the pausing and the stop starting style with the constant fouling. And it's like,
it's interesting watching this debate. And people probably know where I sit on. I'm definitely on the running foul side of the camp. But it's interesting watching back and listening to the arguments of the people that are very passionate about the rigid rules and saying that, look, arm wrestling fans just need to appreciate what that is in the sport, and they will come to enjoy it in its own right. The thing is, for me, I do agree that you can't just I don't think we should ever just give athletes permission to bend the rules. I never think we should have a soft version of the rules. Rules should be absolutely rigid. That I just feel they need to be the correct rules to allow for. And I do agree that the running foul, in my opinion, is the correct rule to go with, because it allows the fans, the viewers, to get a finish to every pull that starts. There's never a referee going to say stop and kill a match midway through. Then it's just not going to happen, and that is straight away a big win. So those rules can still be then enforced very strictly. So it's not a softening or a bending. It's a very strict enforcement of those rules. And I always do remind people, my opinion on the running foul is that if you're having running fouls, you also need to have the professional foul. And the professional foul is the person who is deliberately using an illegal position to either win or prevent a loss. So if you are on a running foul, doesn't mean you can drag 10 inches off the back of the pad. That will be stopped, and that will be a match awarded to the other side. So the running fouls are just for the incidental fouls. Accidental, not deliberate, didn't gain you a huge advantage, but hey, you did foul, so you're on the runner. Still your responsibility as the athlete to get it right, but it doesn't stop the match. It is incredibly disappointing when you watch a match, as you say, where it just doesn't happen. It just never gets there. It's like,
So where was the arm wrestling? There was no arm wrestling in that.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, I hope that people who are organizing PAL rigid events and sticking by that strictness, and the referees involved, it's never a personal attack on any of those guys. First of all, I understand what it takes to put on an event. So do you, Matt. You've hosted and put on a lot of tournaments now. It's a big effort. So it's never a slight at those people or the referees. They're just enforcing the rules that they've got in front of them. So, but as a sport, I can't help but feel that that's where we need to head. But enough about rules. There's a couple of other badass things that happened this weekend in the world of arm wrestling. And where do we start? Do we want to start with Corey Weston-Kraske or Todd Hutchins?
Todd Hutchins.
All right, let's do the Todd Hutchins thing. Let me bring up this. So Todd Hutchins had a super match against Pork Chop and the Machine, or if you want to know their names, Curtis Cameron and Brian Desimo. in a 6-round 2-on-1 super match, and it was pretty special. So let me see if I can get this going. All right, here it is, Matt. So this is. Hang on, this is the promo. Let me just make sure that this is the right section. Hey, this is okay. Now we're coming forward into the actual match itself. So you got Todd Hutchins on the left of screen, Curtis Cameron out of the Ottawa Valley High Hookers. He's a beast of a man. He's been arm wrestling 3-4 years, fairly new, but obviously strong. You can just see he's built strong, and coming out of the camp of Devon, he's going to be quite proficient and instinctive and believe in himself. He couldn't probably have a better club to train with than the Ottawa High Hookers. But Todd Hutchins, this man's an animal. This man's an absolute animal.
He's next level, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he obviously his last match was against Lachlan. Not his last match, but this match is very similar to the Lachlan Adair match. And a lot of people after this one are saying, what do you guys think about Pork Chop v. Lachlan? And that's a good question. I think those guys would be fascinating. But as the first round comes up here, have a look at the way Todd Hutchins just can hold on to someone, open them up, and done. 1-0.
His power is insane. It's just yeah.
And then straight away, Todd just stays at the table, waits for his next opponent to come on up. Let's see if we can skip forward to that. All right, so his next opponent's up, Brian Desimo, and Brian's a bit more of an outside style puller, but still he's strong inside, but he's not all that hooker, and then just bang, just straight through. So that's one.
Has said, like, I don't care what grip you go for, I'm just going straight sideways no matter what.
Exactly. then it's Pork Chop back on again, round 2 against Pork Chop. Into the hook once again. Pork Chop holding on, but there it is. 2-0. Look at Pork Chop's not happy. And then it's on to Brian. I think Brian did all right in this next round. Let's have a look. Brian, round 2 against Todd here.
Todd is getting redder by the round.
He's going to match the color of Brian's shirt in the moment, isn't he? And you can see Brian this time flattening the hand of Todd a little bit, getting Todd having to just collect himself a bit before the drive. But there's 2-0 on both gentlemen now. And then the next one, Pork Chop asked for the strap, and Todd said, "Yeah, we can have the strap." And here they are in the strap. And you look at the grip that Pop's got. He's got everything. Watch the way look moving forward. He's doing every cheat possible. Everything. He's rising and supinating at the same time. He is so far through that strap, and Todd just lets him have it. Yep. And this is a fascinating round. Like, honestly, Todd's got the buckle. He's got the bad side. Pork Chop has got away with so many cheats. Nice loose refereeing up there in Canada. Massive elbow movements before the go. Sets down, and then you watch just Todd. Todd just sits here and just holds. And just holds. And Pork Chop can sense that he can't get through. He looks up at Todd, and Todd winks at him and then pins him.
That's one of the worst feelings when you're the one getting pinned, because you know you've given it absolute everything. You've got everything in terms of the strap, the hand positioning. You might have got the start, and then you're sitting there with 100%, and your opponent just goes, "Are you done?"
Yeah, phenomenal stuff. And then the final round against I missed it. Final round against Brian, coming up here as well, outside of the straps. I think again Brian looked pretty good. He actually almost gets a pin on Todd. If we have a look, Todd's hand starts to go, and Brian elbow fouls off the back. He's way off the back of the pad. He was celebrating. Brian thinks he's got the win. He was going for it, and he's like, "Hang on a second. Oh no, I didn't get it." Todd says, "Get back up here," and then Todd's not going to muck around in this one. I think he's like, "Okay, my hand's starting to go. I think I'm going to use a bit more side pressure off the start this time, and get this job done." Let's have a look how it goes here. it comes. There it is. The big side drive turns it into the hook. And then you can see Brian still got some drag and some work there, but Todd now doing his just clamp and hold and just wait for you to realize that you've got nothing moment. And it's coming. The inevitable gassing of Brian is coming. Good effort there. Todd's wrist doesn't go back, but Todd's just again holding and waiting, knowing the inevitable's coming. And here it is. Gives it the
how
good is that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I do like, and if anyone is sort of looking at why that he was able to sort of get that positioning back when he was being pinned. I mean, Todd, it looked to me like Todd was going straight sideways, and the opponent was able to just get a wrist flexion. He just got enough flexion, and that was what saved him and brought him right back to the middle. So people are looking at improving technique or trying to see what they can do if somebody does have side pressure strength over you. You know, that little scoot forwards. I'm trying to get my arm in screen. Scoot forwards and flex here was what saved him and then allowed him to continue in the match, apart from those earlier rounds where he just went straight sideways to the pad.
Yeah, that was cool. And it was a cool little environment, a casual super match where Todd's just on a mission at the moment where he will take any match. He's just collecting fees and just says, look, it's $3,000 or whatever it is you have to put on the table or whatever, and he's just traveling around. Anyone that wants to have a crack at him, he'll even take on two at a time. $3,000 each, gentlemen, whatever it is, I don't know. But I think
do you think he'll get to a point where he's doing right arm and left arm at the same time?
I think he would do any sort of novelty pull right now because he's in a rich vein of form, and he's charging up the North American ranks and also the world ranks, and it's a very interesting thing, and it'll be a good little segue onto our next topic. But Todd Hutchins is charging up those rankings board. I mean, you've got Devin at 1. Most people have Dave Chafee at 2. Then you've got a whole bunch of people. You got Michael Todd. You got Jerry that could come back at any point. You've got Todd Hutchins. You've got Derek Smith and Corey West and John Brzenk. All those people, those 5 people I just named then, all could be number 3 on any given day. And Todd is making a very big case for being that number 3. We will get to find out. I think that the data will come this year. We do get to see Todd against Michael Todd. I think we will get to see Todd against John.
For your picks for those matches?
I think. Oh man, it's really hard. It's really hard.
You can't sit on the fence. I want a name.
All right. On today's form, I'd go Todd Hutchins over Michael Todd. Okay. On today's form, I would go John over Todd Hutchins.
Wow. Okay.
You? What are you? Where are you at?
I think Michael Todd would beat Todd Hutchins. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is his style. I just think, like you saw there with not that I don't think Todd. It's hard because they've both got the bloody Todd in their name. I'm just going to go Michael. Michael and Todd. It's the same guy. So I think Michael would implement a game that would work against Todd Hutchins. I think that side pressure that he's got works straight and goes straight into Michael Todd's game plan of keeping pronation and sitting in that king's move position and being able to contain that. Plus, it's a big weight class division there as well between the two. But I think if it was without the king's move, then I would be picking Todd Hutchins for sure.
Yeah. Well, and the classic Michael Todd, I would have picked him too. The Michael Todd of old, the form and the shape that he used to bring to the table, I would have easily picked him. But I don't know. As pathetic and lame PAL was mentioned, I seriously believe Michael Todd is hurt in some way. I don't know. The death grip says the nerve damage, but his coronation's not the same, and that is that is something that seems to be evident, particularly in the Gennady-Golovkin match. It didn't seem the same. I know Michael is very convinced and adamant and determined to bring back his old form, and I hope he's right. But we need to see it before we can be certain of it. And so, if that version of Michael does return, I agree he is the favorite over Todd Hutchins.
I think
if it's the version that struggles with pronation, then I'm going Todd.
I think you've just got to look at the caliber of opponent he's been facing as well, because it's easy to say, oh, he's out of form, or he's, maybe he's injured, or maybe this, but it's like he's facing against some of the best guys in the world, and on any given day, those guys are next level. Like, you could almost go back and forth between them. If you got the top 10, the results would change match up to match. It's very hard to pick a winner, to say that somebody has lost form because they've lost 2 matches to some of the best pullers in the world. I just don't think it's accurate.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and we'll hopefully see that data come through. But one man that is closely related to Monster Michael Todd, who is also charging up the ranks, is Corey West, and what he did against Krasimir Kostadinov on the weekend was phenomenal. So let's have a look now at that footage of Corey West and Krasimir Kostadinov, because this was a shock to me. It was a shock to, I think, a lot of the world. Even Corey, I don't think, expected to win this match convincingly. But Krasimir Kostadinov, in everyone's books, is an elite arm wrestler. He's been doing it for a long time, multiple world champion. He was actually ranked number 10 in the world on on one of the official lists for Right. And look at that.
Yeah.
But this was an incredibly dominant match. Krasi in that first round would have been thinking, oh, okay, all right. I need to do the same thing, only harder, perhaps. I need to get that down pressure on and defeat the pronator of Corey. Coming back, Krasi sets the same way, kind of. He believes in himself, like, no, I just got to get this job done and we'll be good. And once again, Corey West just absolutely stomps him. Let's have a look at it. And this is rigid rules, so this suits Krasi, keep in mind as well. Like, this is his domain, it's what he's used to.
Yeah.
PAL rigid rules, and just
wow. Yeah, pure domination there. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a hard way to lose for Krasi in this fashion. It's one of those, when you lose like this, you just think, well, okay, wow, there's nothing I can do. Too good. And when someone's able to do this to you, it's usually an indication that they are substantially ahead. It's not a match. There was no angle you could change to or style you could employ that was going to change the result. It's just one-way traffic, and round 3 about to confirm that for us. And again, look at Krasi. Poor old Krasi. Oh, they got to change the camera. Go back to Krasi's face. Krasi's face was amazing on these videos.
Yeah.
Where do you put Corey West after a result like that?
Oh, I mean, you can't say that he's not improved, and he's done a fantastic job. That was obviously one of his biggest, probably his biggest win to date, and he just blew him out the water. And yeah, I mean, when you've got that sort of a match and you've lost those first 2 rounds, it's almost like you're thinking, I've got to change something significantly. Like, whether my game, I've just been blown out the water, like flash pin twice in a row, I have to do something different. And if you've been game planning on a certain technique that you're going to use, and those first 2 rounds, your game plan just got obliterated, you go into your backup and it's like, oh, God, I don't even know what I'm going to do here. And you could almost see it was like he's got turned into a hook again, and it was like, whoop, straight through again. It's like,
it was just fundamentally way too strong. Was Corey. An interesting comment there, and I did hear this from Krasi as well, but Pathetic and Lame PL with a good comment there. He said, Krasi said that he lost worse to West than he did to Chafee. He said he's never been manhandled that way ever in 16 to 17 years. A big compliment from Krasi. And I do recall his match with Chafee. Krasi was able to get into his power, even though Dave pulled through him without hesitation. Krasi was in his power, where Corey disengaged Krasi from his power very, very quickly and instantly. So interesting. But, ladies and gentlemen, there is a but to this. And it's a juicy but. Let's have a look.
It's a juicy butt.
It's a juicy butt.
Someone's going to clip that.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the after pool and unpack what on earth happened here. So here's the after pool. Cassie and Corey in the strap. Thank you for the super chat. Fart comes in with the $4.99 super chat. Great show, guys. You're the man. Thank you, Fart. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Now, let's have a look. Good timing on the juicy butt comment and the fart super chat. Now, this is in the strap. Does this change your opinion? You haven't seen this footage yet, Matt Connolly. I'm just going to let you watch it. And I want you to tell me, does this change your opinion on the balance between these two? And does it change your opinion of Corey now? Does it change your opinion of what could happen if this match went again? What does this mean to you? Keep watching.
Okay, I'm looking. It is hard when you're watching an after pool in this sort of scenario because you don't know whether or not they've both gone and pulled like 50 different opponents before they've gotten to this point where it's like, oh yeah, let's have a go at each other again. One of them.
Well, I can confirm because I did hear from Corey yesterday that this was them straight afterwards.
Okay.
They pulled maybe 2 or 3 times with each other, slow pull out of straps, which Corey was winning comfortably. But this is, and they put the strap on, and this is what's happening.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Krusty says about it because maybe it didn't look like at any point that he was going to be able to slip or that it was even on his mind that he would slip. Maybe that in that third round, that could have been one of the things that he could have gone, like, let me see how I go in the strap. But it is different match scenario style than slow pull style. It always is. Whether or not you've got that grip you need off the start. I mean, the way that they set up that strap, there's so many different factors. But it is an important thing to see that and say, okay, well, he did have potentially some options there where maybe if he went to the strap, he might have been able to do something. But it is all hypothetical in reality. It is fun to look at it and say, maybe there was something there. But the match result is what counts. And the match result, just prior to is a 3-0 spanking, really.
Yeah. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, like, to me, it does make me ask the question of, I actually would like to see the match again down the track. I'm not saying in a rush, but I do still think Corey would win it. So I don't know that Krusty could, first of all, even get to the straps. Krusty he's a hook puller. Corey's fundamental dominance outside the straps looked that he could grip so low if he wanted to and just crush to the side and it's all over. And I don't know that Krusty could get away.
Yeah.
That said, if somehow it did go to the straps, I'd love to see what would happen. And that was slow pulling in the practice. So as you've said, slow pulling is very different to explosive starts. The inertia that comes from the explosive hit, if you are the stronger man, could be enough. But it was fascinating. So fascinating for me to see such a contrast of utter dominance to just 5 minutes later and 3 pulls later in the straps, it was Krusty who was dominating. So it's interesting. Where do you put Corey now in the world ranks? And guys, I do have to apologize, but we got about probably 3-4 minutes left before I got to run. We would normally be here for at least an hour and a half, but I got an appointment I got to get to. So guys, I apologize. But where do you put now Corey West?
That was
in the North American rankings.
Absolutely. That was his biggest win. I think that if you can take another big name, the thing for me, like the way Dave Chafee just blew through him, and it's probably maybe even a year ago now that happened, but it was Dave Chafee versus Corey West was what just happened with Krusty right there. I think another big win would really move him up the ladder. I think he's probably that second half of the top 10 in North America, maybe probably sitting maybe 5 to 8 in around that sort of mark. And if he gets another big win against a really elite puller, then he will be shooting up and probably sitting in that group you were talking about before, where who's number 3, he would be making a solid case for that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that he's the top end of his potential right now is 3, the absolute top end, and the low end of his potential is about 8. And it's names like Carteret, Brzenk, Hutchins, Derek Smith that are really in that mix. I have Corey above the Matt Masks right now, and obviously and above the Tim Bresnans and people like that. In the world, I think the absolute top would be like 11, 12, and the bottom would be maybe 18, 20, or something like that. I think that Corey now, I now personally consider him in the elite level of super heavyweights. I think what he did, he's been high end pro, and he's been looking really promising that he's going to arrive. To me, this match was his arrival moment. To do that to Cressy, I think now qualifies him as undeniably elite super heavyweight in the world. And I really look forward to seeing him now battle outside of the USA. In the USA, I can't wait to see him face Derek Smith there, because equivalent guys to each other. There's a bit of tension between them too, but that clash is inevitable. But I know Engen Terzi, spoke to him yesterday as well, and he was very much clear that he's ready and would love to see Corey on an East vs West card as well. So when I asked what range of guy would you want to see, his top end was like probably no higher than Gennady, and no lower than someone like Morozov. So all those matches would be amazing. Imagine if he took on Gennady and avenged Michael's lot. That would be pretty cool.
That would be amazing. Yeah,
that
absolutely.
would be pretty cool if he could do that. But Gennady's in good form, and Gennady's hunting an upward trajectory at the moment as well. But anyway, all right, ladies and gents, well, thank you so much for joining us on the show. There's 61 of you guys in here at the moment. Thank you to everyone who has contributed. Lots of good comments. The super chats as well. You guys are awesome. It means a lot. I do apologize, Matt, and to everyone that I got to run. Because we had such a big weekend this weekend. We could have kept on going for a lot longer. So, guys, please do hit the subscribe button. Now, I didn't actually know. Where are you watching this? Let us know in the comments. Where are you watching this? On YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch? Are you on Matt Connolly's YouTube? Because I'm pretty sure we're live on not only my channel, but Matt's channel, Facebook pages. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Twitch. We're live everywhere here at the moment. So that's kind of what we're doing. But so please subscribe to Hollywood Matt Connolly's channel, YouTube channel. Lots of things coming out of the SA Titans down there. Good stuff. And of course, just thank you to everyone in general. It was a great weekend of arm wrestling. Lots to come next week. You got much on this week, man?
Well, geez, we got the over the top tournament going on with you and
little thing going on. It's funny. I actually said that genuinely without thinking ahead of what actually was on this weekend. I was like, oh.
I've never seen you in person.
Yeah, we will be in person. So we might even do a special episode of the Deep End live together. We might be able to pull that off depending on how long you're up for.
I'll be there from Friday to Sunday.
Okay. It's quite possible.
Where
you flying out of?
Flying to Coolangatta and out of there as well. So, straight to the Gold Coast. I'm not sure if it's a direct flight. I haven't looked. But, yeah.
Either way, we have a big event this weekend. Over the Top, Down Under. Do not miss it, guys. Head to the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation's pages, whether it's their YouTube or their Facebook. There, all the links there. This will be a big weekend. This will be a very big tournament, a very big weekend. Larry Wheels throwing him down in a tournament for the first time since he's really been established as an arm wrestler, taking on Australia and New Zealand's best, Malaysia's and Singapore's best. There's arm wrestlers from Uzbekistan coming. It is going to be a big tournament. There's $10,000 to the winner on the line. Everyone's hunting it. I'm getting nervous.
What are you going to spend your $10,000 on?
Oh, somebody asked me the other day, what tactics? What's your plan for defeating Lachlan? And I said, it starts with M and ends in Atayarangi.
But then fight it out.
I'll be honest, for me to win this $10,000, I really need the chips to fall perfectly. I need Big Matayarangi, Heta Morris, and Lachlan Adair to have an absolute scrap with each other, exhaust each other, and for me to come through with the wet sail around the Stephen Bradbury around the outside. But, hey, it happened for Stephen. It happened for Stephen. So that's the beauty of arm wrestling tournaments, is that anything can happen depending on the order of the day. So yeah, I'm throwing my hat down for 10,000.
Your haters would hit the roof if you won that tournament. It was so funny.
Oh, they would indeed. Yeah. But it's going to be good. There's a lot of, who knows where the draw goes, like I said, with names like Lachlan and Matayarangi, Ben Carroll, said to be making a subtle appearance. He'd been telling the world he's not coming. A word on the street is he is. Ben Carroll, Brett Cooch, Ryan the Milkman Scott, Larry Wheels, Jordan Davis, Mario Tembarkis, Marcus Atiro, Fatali Mateo. Every one of those names could be the Stephen Bradbury that just goes around Lachlan and Matayarangi. All those names are good enough to do it. It'll be a great event. So you can see that, guys. Like I said, there will be a pay-per-view event of that tournament. Do not miss it. It will be special to see Larry in amongst the cat amongst the Australian and New Zealand pigeons. Will he? Do you think Larry will go through? I think you've got more faith than I do. How many wins to losses? Does he get 2-2, 0-2? What does he do?
In that field, I mean, it depends on the draw. I think he's going to win one at least. I think he'll probably win. Oh man, this is tough. It's going to be. I don't see him going far. I'll put it that way. I think he just doesn't have the knowledge, the setup knowledge. He's got the strength. He just doesn't have the technical ability at this point. I hope he stays in it. He sticks with it and he continues with the arm wrestling. But I think you're right. He might go 1 win, 2 losses. Or
1 win, 2 yeah. Yeah, I agree. They'll be nice to Larry. They'll give him an opening round that is nice and soft. Well, yeah, you never know. It might be you. Yeah, you might be the man who takes on Larry first round. But I think they'll give Larry a generous opener, where he's not up against one of the studs in the draw. But then, after you win a round, it's all thrown out the window. There's no helping you anymore.
That's right.
And he's going to get a pretty decent stud. I think of all the guys that are the highest seeds, I think he'd do best against someone like Jordan Davis, to be honest. He wouldn't want someone that is a power-based arm wrestler. I don't think he'd do well. But against the Jordan may not have enough to crack open the hand of Larry, and then it's done. But if Jordan got in the later rounds, Jordan would, I think, crack him easy. But it'll be interesting. It's all happening this weekend. Tune in. Don't miss it. The pay-per-view. I don't have the links for it, guys. I do apologize. But just search everything Arm Wrestling Australia on Facebook and YouTube and that, and you'll find it. I promise you. All right, Matt. I got to run. I got to be in a car and off to an appointment. But thank you guys for joining us once again, and we will see you all next week.